Okay, my name is Julian Milkis, and I'm a recording and concert artist for about 35 years or so.
Wow.
As far as my favorite music style, I cannot answer that. It's the style that I'm playing when I'm playing. So if I play jazz, that's my favorite style. If I play classical, that's my favorite style. If I play romantic music or contemporary, that's my favorite style. So it's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. But I do not play music that I don't like. I like all types of music if it's talented, if it's good. So I mean, at this stage of my career, I can choose. When I started, I played what I was told to play, but not anymore. Yeah, I was at the Summit Festival from the very first year, and in all the years, many years by now, I only missed one festival because I could not come back from Europe. I was just too busy there. So I'm like the second after Ephraim and David. I'm the oldest participant, and it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And hopefully next year, we are back with vengeance. We are lifelong friends. He's a generation older, but we attended the same school, and I've known him since I was a child. And, when I moved to New York, right away we started communicating, and we've been friends ever since, with Ephraim and with his wonderful late wife, Natasha. And also I played, unfortunately, only occasionally with Ephraim, but it's always a fantastic pleasure. He is a great musician. Well, first memory, it's hard to say. It's so many years ago.
Yeah.
But the level of professors there, especially first years, and level of performances, again, especially early years, was absolutely exceptional. And the level of students was always very high. So, and many, it's already a couple of generations, they went on to have big career either in leading orchestras or as soloists or teachers, professors. So it's wonderful to watch the students grow and become real artists. Tell you, like, for us, for busy travelers, musicians who travel all the time, like me.
Yeah.
You come and you rehearse and you perform and you leave, and to be at the same place for 10 days or so.
Yeah.
It's very unusual. So also for me, it's an opportunity to catch up on life, on things with known many, many, many years that I'm very fond of them. Many, many wonderful memories for me as a performer at this festival, or to be in the audience, when Aaron Razan was still performing, and every time he gave a master class, it was a very special occasion. Or Ida Handel, who's still around. She's like 94, 95, and she's one of the most amazing violinists of all time. And to listen to her play, or to be at her master classes, or even to go out and have a meal and exchange stories is it's priceless. It's fantastic. And over the years, just too many memories. Of course, every time I had to perform with people like Mikhail Kopelman or Monastyrsky, besides making fantastic music together, and we are all on the same sort of wave. It's friendship for for so many years. It's something irreplaceable. I remember one concert. Maybe this is about I don't know, 10 years ago, when he started playing, the entire hall, everybody in the concert hall started crying.
Oh.
It's so so touching when he had this special sound, and we all knew he was already quite sick. He had problems with his back, and it was very painful. But every note was just so precious.
Yeah.
So it's something that will stay for me the rest of my life for sure. And every master class, he had a personal approach to every student, and his knowledge of music, of styles, and just the people that he had to communicate with throughout his long career is just so impressive. Lucky to study with him or to know him it affects you. I personally played pretty much every genre at the festival, from early classical like Mozart and Weber, and then to romantic, to like Brahms and Schumann, and to contemporary, and especially my most favorite composer, Nguyen, that I play throughout the world, and I played several times his music. And last year, even we brought the film about him.
Yeah.
And he passed away 2 months after the premiere of that film.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also I played jazz, I think 2 or 3 times. So, there's a incredible variety of styles. A lot of contemporary music. I like contemporary music. I promote contemporary music a lot. So it's very important, because I mean, 50 years from now, what is considered contemporary becomes classical.
Yeah.
It's like a part of my heart.
Oh.
I spent over 2 years participating in it, and Giaconcelli was, when he was alive, a living genius. Now that he's passed away, it's even more important, and it's a composer that is cherished and loved everywhere. Everywhere, his music sounds. I played his music in over 20 countries, and it touches hearts. It is just, he's one of the rarest composers that, no matter where, and different religions and temperaments, and it's always touches people's hearts, brings tears out of people. It's pretty amazing. It'll be available hopefully very soon. It's still, because of the quarantine. Of course, things slow down considerably, but it'll change somewhat. So some things will be added, some things will be taken away, but still the movie is being perfected. It's especially important now that he's gone, and it's like a last film made about him. And it's funny because the name of the music, I used to hate clarinet. Yeah. Because before we met in 97. That's the instrument that he hated when we met. I think the biggest achievement in music life, that he changed his mind, and at the end of his life he loved clarinet. Yeah, of course, over the years I had many students and many groups. I will not name any, because it'll be unfair to others. But some of my students achieved really high positions, and like principal players in orchestras, concerts worldwide, and I'm very proud. I only keep in touch with a few, but it's good to see years later that they really achieved important positions and positions. It matters, but it doesn't matter to me that much. But they became musicians. They became human beings.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
And I always, whenever I go worldwide and people ask me some questions, and the questions that I don't like is, when it concerns money, finances, when they say you're so successful and make a lot of money. I said, if you ask this question, you're in the wrong profession, because you should just do it for the love of it. Of course, it's important because you'll have families and you have to support your wives and kids and things like that. But if this is the main concern, it's a wrong field, because it's one of the most difficult professions. With traveling, with practicing all the time, with you after concert you come back to your hotel and you can't sleep because the music plays in your head, and you're constantly thinking, what have I done wrong? What should have been better?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing, and like you're rarely really satisfied. Like, I'm satisfied so seldom that and it kills you. Of course, you want always to do better. So if you're completely satisfied with yourself, then something is wrong. Now that I've been away from stage for almost 4 months, it gives you a different perspective. So, how much you miss your audience and making live music. So it's a way of life. I gave some master classes and many interviews, but I was offered to perform online and I refused, because it's not for me. I'm not saying that it's bad, but for me it's bad. I don't like it. I was offered to play a couple of concerts with musicians in different places. I don't like it. You're not in touch with your colleagues, with people you have to play with. Really, online is just it's a joke for me, and you're not in touch really with your audience. So for some people it works and it's fine.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it doesn't work. So I'd rather wait and however long it takes to really perform. But although I think the music will not be the same for many years. Forget full houses, and it'll be different. But still, live performance will go on, and we'll just have to adjust. Audience will have to adjust, and performance will have to adjust. And I think it'll be so different, even when they say it's over and everything is back to normal, sort of.
Yeah.
But still, half of the audience, I'm sure, will not come to live events. They'll be afraid. So it'll take really a while before people will feel safe, and especially now that they realize they can, go to old broadcasts and listen at home. And of course, it's never the same as being at the live concert. So, but I know a lot of people, a lot of music lovers that will not go to concerts now. They say we're afraid. And I'll tell you why. Our field, it was always 5%. And it's been like this for 150 years. And it's still 5%. So when people say the interest is getting lost, I disagree. No. That it's still 5%, but since the world is getting larger, more people. So the audiences, if they love you, they'll come, and it's still 5%. So it's not bad. At least it's not worse. It's just the way it's always been. 5%. If it hasn't happened in 150 years, I don't think we stand the chance to make it 10%. I don't know. Well, it all depends on the education. Of course, music educations in countries like Germany and Austria, it's quite different. I'm sure that it's different there. It's more than 5%. But for example, music education in countries like United States, it's disastrous. There is really no music education in schools. There are some bands, but as far as classical music, it's not there. Yeah. And unless that can change, and I honestly don't see how. There's no effort, and education in the States since I came here really deteriorated. It's very bad. So I don't see how it can improve. Yes, I was performing in Germany, and I was hired to play for like a big group of engineers, and they rented the castle, and they asked me to play 2 Brahms sonatas. And when I came on stage, I was shocked. Half of the audience had the music scores. Oh. And then at the reception, and they were amateur musicians. They were all engineers. And they talked about different editions of Brahms and his first performances of the sonata. And I realized they know much more than I do. Oh, yeah. So that's education. That's in their school. And I remember I went the next day to the place where they baked bread. The owner of that place, he said, "Oh my God, I love your Brahms." And can you imagine this in the States when you go to buy bread and they said, "I love your Brahms"? Just forget about it. So education is the answer, and it's education of classical music is non-existent. I don't think I'll see that, not in my lifetime, because the trend is not, for the improvement of classical music education. It's not. In China, I mean, they're like, I forget exactly the number, like 30 million pianists. Yeah. 30 million people who study piano. Yeah. Or like I went to a place like Kazakhstan, and music education is very high there. Why? Because the government gives money, they give scholarships. And, a lot of people from that country, they're all over the world studying and giving the opportunity. They have to come back after that because it costs the government enormous money. They buy them instruments, they send them to schools, they pay for their, tuition and being in the country. So it's a lot of money. Each individual costs a lot of money for the government. But that's the only way to do it, scholarships. Canada has a much better system for people who are already musicians. Still, in high school, classical education is almost as bad as in the United States. A little bit better. I'm from Soviet Union, and it was exactly the same. There was tremendous sport, and the conservatories and music schools were like at the highest level. And of course, everything was free, but not anymore. First of all, the level of schools and conservatories, much lower because, those old timers, they all passed away or immigrated to countries where they got paid well. Yeah. So the level is nowhere near what it was in 60s and 70s and 80s. Yeah, it's either your family has to be wealthy,
Yeah.
or you have to be so incredibly talented that. But I mean, that's like less than 1% of everybody who studies.
But
But it's obvious
yeah.
to everybody. You know, like Yevgeny Kissin was, or Trifonov, or Yuja Wang, people like that. As I said before, for
Yeah.
me, it's an opportunity to catch
Yeah.
on things with old friends that we really get together once a year during the summit. Like with Ephraim, I mean, with Ephraim, we speak on the phone,
Yeah.
like at least once a week, or some other friends. But we keep in touch. But when in my situation, when you're touring all the time, it's very difficult to see people outside of your tour, and so being for 10 days or a week, or whatever, 12 days together is something we all cherish, because it's an opportunity to get back to normal life, and find out about how your friends are doing, and just have a meal and talk, and enjoy time together. Before, the difference was huge.
Oh.
But now it's less and less. Why? Because, for example, musicians, from young students from Japan, from Korea, from China, most of them went to study to the best conservatories in Europe and the United States. And of course, they absorb what they learn.
Yeah.
And when they start teaching and they go back, and for example, they teach in Korea and in China, they already affected by Western methods. So it's the difference is less and less.
Yeah.
Like before, I remember when Eastern musicians started coming out, it was mainly just very mechanical and so technical. But it's very different now.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to say, where the performer is from.
Yeah.
It's all sort of, it came together. It's like a nice soup. We're in the same pot.